So, hey there. Hello, everybody. I'm really excited to be there. I'd like to start with a quick question. Do you know Roro? Or Peak? Or do you know Biscuit? Well, these are the Amazon dogs. And they were full over the media after this year's Prime Day in July. So despite this little downtime issue, they still had their best Prime Day ever. Now you might think, what the heck has this to do with today's presentation? Well, let me tell you. SPAR is also a retailer. But opposite to Amazon, our core business is around the stationary retail for food and groceries. And we also have downtimes that is outside of our shopping hours. But seriously, I really want to show you how we see the future of retail, because it is the mergence of the offline, the stationary, with the online. So in the back, you can see a mobile interface from our online shop. Actually, it's a fast-forward video of a Tosca test run. So ordering a nice T-bone steak and a few bottles of beer have never been easier as in the Interspar online shop. And we, of course, combine this with convenient payment types and delivery options. We even provide the goods and collecting stations. So just like she does, put out your mobile phone, scan the code, grab the purchase at a nearby station. And there she goes, happy with a smile. Of course, all of you experts know that this is just the tip of the iceberg, this mobile user interface. Beneath it, there is the real power, the real complexity in IT, in processes, and so on. So logistics, ERP, manufacturing, from the core, meet the digital. Facebook likes, Google AdWords, online shops, digital signage, you name it. Everything is merging together. And this, of course, has to be a seamless user experience. So this is the story we want to tell you today, how SPAR is riding this digital tsunami. And I'm so glad to have Martin, my colleague from SPAR, and Sasha from the customer success team on my side. Come on up, guys.
Hello.
So Martin will give you insights on test types, on the staging environment, and on our delivery pipeline. Sasha, on the other side, he will tell you how the customer success team is supporting SPAR at our journey. So a little disclaimer, in almost all of our examples, we focus on this tip of the iceberg, on this online shop. That's just because there we have our 3-week cycles going into production, and of course, most of the changes take place in the online shop. So before we deep dive, a few more words to SPAR. SPAR is operating in 9 countries in Central Europe and in 3 sectors. I already told you about this, about the groceries. Then we build and run shopping centers. And third, we are very successful in the fashion and sports business under the brand of Hervis. So we regularly get awards for the best omni-channel solution. And at the center of this, there's of course a successful IT service provider. That's Martin's and my employer. That's the SPAR ICS. So around about 400 internal IT colleagues and dozens of external consultants work day in, day out on operations and on projects. And we as SPAR ICS, we are the real driver for digital transformation. We are pushing the innovation in our company. And we have a clear vision. We want to become the digital division of the SPAR Group. And right now, we are on our journey to agile transformation as a whole company. And I'd like to tell you a little bit about this, because the tsunami already starts here. So SPAR, whether it's on the IT side or on the business side, we are not used to having a dedicated role for testing. So that was always part of this, it's working, of this product manager. So that's the poor guy. He needs to understand the business, translate the requirements for the developers. He's the guy knowing the IT system. In big projects, he is the responsible for a work package. And you guess it, he's also doing the manual testing. Guess what activity he likes most? So in our organization, there is this constant battle to grow. Everybody wants to increase their influence. And so do we as the Test Center of Excellence. And I'm glad that we achieved this goal to have a separate unit for testing. So it's really a first step in the right direction. But we are not stopping here. Our goal is to have one dedicated role for testing and for QA in every agile team. And this is the QA role. And the idea behind this, we, as the test automation specialists, are working very closely together with the QAs from the agile teams. We have one big prerequisite. That is, we provide the Tosca infrastructure, we create the tests, and the QA in the agile team, he's running the test and he is analyzing the test. And he is caring for proper test data. So don't get me wrong, if the QA is good on automation, doing the automation, he can easily do it, but it's really hard to find such colleagues. So I'd like to hand over now to Sasha from the customer success team.
To be successful with your test automation journey requires a holistic view on people and culture, on the process and on the product. How do you typically prevent teams from finger pointing and enable development and test to cooperate early in the life cycle? What are the roles and responsibilities at team level, at portfolio, and on the enterprise level? How does an ideal test process looks like from development to sandbox testing to staging till production? And how can the ideal idea best be applied to fit to SPAR? Who is responsible in creating and maintaining test artifacts along the whole life cycle? And how does an agile organization or a test organization looks like in an agile transition? How can Tosca, how can the different components, risk-based testing, UI automation, API automation, test data management, service utilization, be best used and be used leveraging our continuous testing maturity model? To answer all those questions, we have founded a customer success department in Tricentis to support our customer, to support you, Matthias and Martin, and to define how the product can be best used, and secondly, how the organization can be set up, how best practices, strategy can be applied to best fit to SPAR.
Thank you, Sasha. Now I'd like to show you what we achieved so far by the empowerment of the Tricentis consultant. First, let us take a look at the functional test types we use to cover our business risk. Our subject on the test is our online shop. And the first area, of course, is the automation and service virtualization. For those, we use Tosca and the extension of the orchestrated service virtualization. Within those portfolios, we separate as a cascading blocks the smoke, sanity, and regression portfolio. Just to give you a glimpse, the smoke test, it's a test meant to be run right after a deployment and shall retrieve a result within 5 minutes to give information, yes, the deployment ran correct, there's no need for a rollback, we don't have a big system issue. It's all done within 5 minutes. Not much, but that's the goal. For the sanity, we try to cover a cross-functional test of every important function. Of course, it's not every function, because there is the goal. We need to have the result within 15 minutes. That's our goal. So within those 15 minutes, you know at least nothing really serious happened to the package. And further on, if those both tests succeed, we continue with the regression portfolio. We call it the so-called REST, which means every automated test case we have in our portfolio dealing with all the variations and combinations coming out of the Tosca test case design we use. The second pillar is we still rely on manual testing. For that, we use X-Ray, the plugin extension for Jira, because also our business is writing and defining the use cases there. Also, the user acceptance criteria are written in there. We use it for our sprint development. So the in-sprint feature testing manually part is done with X-Ray. And of course, the user business acceptance tests. And as a third pillar, we also rely on crowd testing. For that, we have a strong partnership with Testbirds. We successfully tested our shops with the areas and the focus of to be watched at usability side of view, exploratory, and structured bug testing. So let's take a look at the shop itself. It's a web shop, obvious, but as Matthias mentioned before, it's more than just the front end. We call it our Accelerate platform, the so-called e-fulfillment platform, containing the parts, the web shop, logistics, analytics, cross-channel, and master data. So as you see, the web shop itself is just the tip of the iceberg. If we show the picture behind, well, quite a mess. A lot of system involved. This is just the one to fulfill one order. But the good thing about this, we can't forget about that for the first stage, because we use service virtualization. By testing the web shop, we don't care about the systems around. And we can do end-to-end tests just with the front end of the web shop. So, as I mentioned, when we took a look at our staging, we start with test automation at the test environment. There we are shift left ready. There we do our development tests as soon as a new feature is available and programmed from the backlog. And in this environment, we use the full power of service virtualization. The next stage is the quality assurance. On this stage, here we test not the whole functionality, but here we take a look at the end-to-end tests, which are really integrated. So there we also test the things in the logistics, in the SAP, and so on, the surrounding system. The third pillar, or the third stage, the third environment, is the quality, or we call it near-life environment, because that one, we inspect bugs we might encounter in production, or also we do our load or performance tests on that system. That system is very pretty close to the fourth pillar. The fourth is the production environment. Here we earn the money. But of course, we do tests on that stage as well, mainly pre-deployment and after the deployment tests to know that everything runs well. The next part is, I want to show you the process, how we achieve the continuous improvement over those 4 stages. Starting from a backlog, right after a new feature is available, our goal is to have the automation in place along those processes. So starting from backlog, we use automated and virtualization-based testing, and of course manual testing. Manual testing can't be automated, but the part right from the Jira by the source code repository to the build server, and finally, organized by the atomic chain, retrieves the new package and deploys it on the stage. And then the magic happens. We have the test automation running and gives us immediate feedback about the status for the package on any stage. Doesn't care which stage we talk about. After that, if it's successful, we hope so, then we go ahead and move it to the next stage, which might be the production one. Regarding the manual testing placed also here, this intentionally breaks sometimes the full automation chain. Of course, sometimes, if you think about the user acceptance tests, yes, we want to have our business to sign and accept what we've done, and then it's following again the full automation. So let's talk about challenges we suffered or we often occurred when we go for manual or automated testing. The first thing, René in the previous talk already mentioned it, it's a waste of time to it's a waste of time if the developer and the tester doesn't understand each other. To give you a short example, it's a good idea that they talk to each other and define the test steps with the same names as they use in the development. So that is a very boost to find and get to the point where the real bug is. Another challenge is, that was René mentioned also before, this is a waste of time. First, before trying to test the system, in our case, the online shop, we need to have products in our shelves to be ready to test the system. We need different article types, we need different price scale ranges, or promotions set to verify the correct price calculation. Another challenge is that, in our opinion, all systems, all environments around these 4 stages I mentioned should be treated with the same priority as the production, because we can't speed up if the test system isn't running or configured proper and we fail into that trap while we do the automation. Then also the speed chain is broken. So it's very important to have the system ready to be tested. And regarding the coverage of our test cases, we rely on risk-based testing, or as we call, we need to understand the way and thinking of the customers and test the most important features, not even every feature, because we need to speed up in our automation. We need to get to a result very quick. So let's go to the main road the customer follows, and just sometimes in sprints or when we have more time, then think about the rest to be tested. So about all these challenges, I'd like to hand over back again to Matthias, who shows a little bit about the journey we did in the past.
Thanks, Martin. So, what was our journey so far? Martin and I started in early 2017, the Test Center of Excellence. So we had also support from Tricentis side. Julian was in Salzburg every 2 weeks to really get this thing going. And the focus was clear. Management told us, automate the online shop, because there we have the shortest release cycles. It was a good idea. I remember very well when we met with Tricentis founder Wolfgang Platz before we started the TCOE, and he advised us, take it easy with the service virtualization. Get used to the automation first. Well, we couldn't wait, and we did instantly a POC with Tricentis on our online shops in August 2017. And it really exceeded the expectations. So we got the go for OSV, and we got the budget increase. That was a huge boost for us. Then in early 2018, as Martin said, we started with this continuous integration. So I guess at the same time we rolled out this ARA from Atomic, this release automation, and at the same time we tried to get along with our automation integrated. It was a huge step for us. And of course, we had to follow up with our e-commerce solutions. So as of now, we have the Hungarian, the Slovenian, and 3 Austrian shops, Tosca ready, and most of them also OSV ready on the test system. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, and now we are in some kind of consolidation phase. So when scaling very, very fast, you of course encounter various problems. We had issues with our Tosca infrastructure. This whole setup of the DEX agents was not what we liked or expected to be. And last but not least, the implementation and the staffing of the QA, it was really going slowly forward. So a lot of the times Martin had to jump into the agile team and support them also on different other topics as test data and so on. So not the way we thought we should do it. But there's also a good story behind this consolidation. As of November 2018, so in 1 month, we rose up to 5 internal employees, and we have 3 external Tricentis consultants. So that's really a success story for us. And what is the outlook? The outlook is positive. For example, in 2 weeks' time, we will start an SAP OSV with Robert Wagner here in Salzburg to also see how SAP is working with the service virtualization. And of course, we hope to get some funds for next year because it is time to grow again. So let me summarize what you heard today in the presentation. First, we need to push the organization and the management. So it is so critical to get these QA roles. As I said, we were not used to having QA testing or anything. Second, together with the QA, we need to go to the operations guys and to the product managers. We need stable test data, and we need systems that are working. As Martin said, all over the chain up to production. Only then we can achieve this shift left, and only then we can have the real power of the service virtualization. And last but not least, we need to enable continuous testing. This sounds so easy, but it's not. But I'm very glad that we have super support from Tricentis. But in the end, it is on us. We need to do this. We need to automate, we need to integrate, and we need to collaborate. So thank you very much for your attention. This is how we as SPAR ride the digital tsunami. Looking forward to some questions.
So far, have you dealt with any issues with efficiency increases making any of the employees redundant? And if so, how did you handle not, I'll say, downsizing or reducing that staff?
So you're asking about if this efficiency topic already was in the mind of the management and telling we need to get rid of somebody or taking a look at the product managers if we can reduce some of them. Is this correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Right now, not. So we are in a good situation that our budget is growing from year to year and we can't find people. So we are constantly looking, and even if we could reduce some colleagues, there is such a high demand from the business requirements, and we can only fulfill this. So in the end, it's really about growing.
And also what's up in the, or what we tell the management is that we free resources for their main purpose. So if we take a look at the slide Matthias presented with the agile team, we have 2 business analysts doing at some part of the sprint just testing and not their origin job as a business analyst. So we freed their resources. What was happening in the past, they added a 3rd business analyst and another one, and just grow up the team. And we also by this OSV POC, we proved that with this virtualization and test approach, we not just reduced the team, we free the resources to their origin purpose. So that was the goal we achieved.
Thanks, excellent presentation again.
Thank you.
It's very helpful to have some insight into how people are making this transition. You talked at the end about continuous testing and how challenging it is to make that transition. I'm wondering if you'd speak a little bit about how that process changed to continuous testing and tying it back to changes and coordinating with dynamically changing user stories, how you're going about doing that transition. Is it support from Tricentis? Are you doing some mentoring internally when some of your teams are very successful at it? If you could speak to the specifics, it's a problem I see with many clients. Thank you.
It's a basket of topics that we are doing. So the first thing is, the good thing was at the same time when we started with the automation or had it at a good level, the infrastructure or DevOps guys, they had also pressure. So they started in parallel with this deployment pipeline. And there we learn from each other. So that's from the technical perspective. The other thing I told you is the agile transformation. So we are really wrapping this organization around and trying to work some Scrum-like processes. So also this dedicated meetings, sprint planning, sprint review, and so on, that also helps that we somehow get a structure in it. What else? We're working with Sasha, also having really the latest topics that are available to really see, are we going in the right direction? So it's also challenging us on this topic if we're doing good. And yes, every company has their own approach how to set up this testing. Are there business testers? Are there no business testers? Is business saying we're relying only on IT? So it's a mix and match with that. And I think I should add this, we have around about 80% of implementation outside of our company. So it's not internal developers. And that's a huge topic for us to really connect with the developers. Right now it's like, and we are catching it. We can catch it because they upload it in our deployment pipeline and then the tests go on. But usually we're late in the sprints. Usually it's like, yeah, we do some manual testing and then, of course we could do some automation as well. And there the QA is necessary. The guy who's sitting at the sprint planning and thinking about, we have a regression portfolio, we should add this, and hey, business analyst, take a look at this.
So I expect this continuous integration. I expect also you talked about continuous integration as earlier on your curve. I'm wondering if that also helped pave the way for the coordination between CI and then moving into a continuous test too. That symbiotic relationship, I would think, between them.
One thing helped, that was that Tosca tests automatically get triggered by the release automation, by the deployment. So we also had this problem, not so much product managers want to install Tosca and work with Tosca. It's just, if you have 10% of your time for testing, everybody says, no, I won't work with Tosca. So this continuous integration, this area, helped very much to market this topic in our company. And now I think we have far over 700 deployments a year on the various shops, on the various stages, and every time there is a test result. That's good. Any other questions?
Okay, so
Okay.
thanks a lot.
Then thank
for
you very
coming.
much. See you around.